So I just want to talk a bit about fork setup. So I've been playing around with these Fox 36s for a bit now. I've had the bike for over a month, easily, a couple of months maybe. Now, if you saw my video recently about the internals of these forks and specifically the air chamber, the negative air chamber with the excessive grease from the factory and what I had with my Lyric and whatnot, and the difference in performance that you get. So I've done the clean out. Pre-cleaning out all that excessive grease in the negative chamber, I was running I started with a token, went another token, and then went another token to try and get the support to stop it from diving through. And I couldn't run it much more than 70 psi because it began to become really choppy underfoot. Please, no thanks. It became really choppy underfoot, anything above that. So, which was similar to what I was getting when my luft cap was full of, when the negative air chamber on my Lyric was full of grease as well. So I kind of had a feeling something was wrong, pulled them apart. Sure enough, it was heaps of grease. So I greased them as per the manual. Plenty of grease on the seals, plenty of grease above the seal, which is kind of sits in the positive chamber here, but nothing in the negative chamber, nothing excessive in the negative chamber. Now, since then, I went straight back to 2 tokens. The first ride on 3 tokens, there was just too much support there. There was too firm. So went down to 2 tokens, ended up running at about 73 psi, got it really good. But I felt like I wanted to go firmer in the spring, in the overall feeling of the spring, like start to finish. But because of that second token in there, I couldn't go any firmer because the whole lot began to become a little harsh. So what I've done now is I've taken another token out, so I'm now at 1 token, and I've gone from 73 psi to 85 psi. Taking that token, if I went to 80 psi before, way too rough underfoot in the front. So I've taken that extra token out. Now I started at 80 today, a little bit soft, like kind of where I was before. The reason I was looking for more is because it's not carrying enough speed from the front. It's sucking up too much of my energy when I'm trying to pump the bike for speed and accelerate further. So the bike's been feeling sluggish. Similar to what's going on with the rear, but I'll address that in another video. Or what has been going on in the rear. So the 1 token has allowed me to go stiffer in the spring. That's what I've been looking for, stiffer in the spring without losing my small bump compliance. So if you run a really stiff spring and heaps of spaces, no small bump compliance. 1 spacer, 85 psi now. It is so good. It's a point and shoot. It plows over everything. So for instance, Fox Fast, or all of the rough stuff at Fox basically, the bottom are long. It doesn't dive through its travel at all. It doesn't get harsh. The grip's phenomenal. The grip is absolutely phenomenal at 85 psi. So the firmer you go with the spring, the more grip you're going to get because the wheel's pushing harder against the tyre. The tire's pushing harder against the ground as it is. But then you've got to make sure that your damping's soft enough and your rebound's tuned right and all of that stuff as well. And obviously your air spring. So more grip, more confidence, more charge, carries more speed. I didn't do any Strava runs today, but I know I was on it. Still not super happy with the rear setup. I serviced the air shock yesterday, the rear shock yesterday, just air spring service. Feels killer, feels much better today, but not much better, but it feels better. Back to the fork, 85 psi. It's so much better. It's so good. I couldn't have gone this kind of pressure and this kind of configuration before with how the spring was set up. There was just no small bump compliance. There was a lack of sensitivity and a massive lack of support. So now I've kind of gone all the way one way and now all the way back the other way with that clean out and knowing that the forks are killer now. I've got 3 clicks of low speed compression. So if you're looking at it, that's from all the way open. So if you go all the way open, that first detent that you feel, 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks. I reckon I'm between 3 and 4. I'll probably still play with a little bit more, just so I can get a little bit more control of the front end when it does get really rowdy. And I think I've got room in the softness and the grip to go a little bit more low speed compression there without affecting the feel too much. So I may go 1 more click, and the high speed is at 8 clicks, and I can definitely go a little bit more high speed. I reckon I can use the travel a little bit more efficiently, but it was close. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 for setup today. It's the best I've felt by far. The fastest the bike's been so far. The the speed carrying and pumping off of things, and just that response I'm getting from the bike it's exactly what I want. It's exactly what I've been looking for. It's kind of what I miss in the Lyric that I haven't been able to get in here. So I rate the Lyric, the RC2, not that I had the RC2, but I've ridden on a couple of bikes with it on. I rate that fork highly, and I think it's got a lot of room for tuning and really finding a sweet spot. But these are starting to really come alive. So very impressed. So if you got a set of these, whether it's the Grip, the Grip2, the Fit4, whatever, if it's got the Evol spring, pull it apart, or get someone you know who's reputable and knows what they're doing, pull it apart, clean it out, make sure there's liberal grease, plenty of grease, but no grease inside that negative chamber where it shouldn't be. You're basically eliminating all of this technology that they put into making a bigger chamber by having heaps of grease in there. So it's back to a small chamber. So now the forks are back to a big chamber. They feel amazing. Didn't blow through the travel too hard today. They felt absolutely crisp. I couldn't fold them today. The only thing I would say is maybe a little bit more high-speed compression, maybe. But I didn't do enough runs to get into that. I was really, really happy with how it felt, and I was just trying to charge it as hard as I could. Fox fast, it was so quick. So yeah. Just a little update on those forks. Nothing, it's not a review or nothing, but just to give you an idea, yeah, cleaning that out has given a dramatic performance increase, and it's opened up the what's the word I'm looking for? It's opened up the opportunities for tuning. So I've got more room for tuning instead of it already being not very supple and not very supportive, and kind of tiptoeing through the setup. Now there's heaps of room for improvement. So like I said, 8 out of 10. I can get this set up better, but we're very close at 85 PSI, 1 token for my weight on the bike, about 74 kilos. So have a shot, keep tuning, keep fiddling, and I'll make an in-depth video about how I go about tuning the fork and tuning the rear shock, and what I'm looking for, what I'm feeling for, and what I'm doing to change to get a certain feeling and whatnot. So we'll address that as I kind of bounce around with the ideas in my head. But for now, I'll let you sit on that, and yeah, happy rides.